Hello, and welcome to another meeting of the Geek Cabal, Cabal Whisperings. This is podcast episode 16. Today's date is December 1st, 2023. That's why we got the Christmas tree up, for those who are watching. By the way, my name is Jim.
I'm Owen.
I'm Bob.
And, well, we took a week off again. So we went week on, week off, week on. So back at it again. Again, holidays. I mean, obviously the more important things to be with family and do the stuff, get that stuff taken care of. And plus for me at work has been, pretty busy. So,
yeah. Well, we also ran into the fact that we try to record towards the end of the week. So if there's a small gap between when we record and when it goes up, well, Thanksgiving was on Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to run into that with Christmas since it's on Monday.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But anyways, we got Owen joining us for this podcast. So this will be interesting to be able to just him to see how this forum goes. So, welcome.
Thank you.
And yeah, I mean, I left all my stuff over there. I was going to talk about during my thrifting things during the miscellaneous. I realized I left them sitting over there on the floor. That's all right. That's all right. I can just talk about it. Anyway, so what do we got in channel news?
All right. So, as Jim said, we took a week off, so you're seeing a lot of clips from previous podcasts because, easy to do. And podcast 14 is a gold mine, with at least 5 clips from it, and I'm only halfway through it. So that was we don't have anything to talk about, but we managed to talk for 3 hours podcast. So we went everywhere on that one. Let's see. We are I mentioned the newsletter in a previous episode. I believe it was the last episode. And I believe we're going to distribute through Substack because that appears to be the answer to a lot of our problems. So, also, if I'm understanding everything on there correctly, which that's what I'm going to be spending the next few days doing is trying to make sure I am, I believe I can host the RSS feed that we need to put our podcast onto other podcasting services like Apple. And then apparently like 90% of other podcasts just feed off the Apple list. So apparently we can do that for free on there if I'm understanding everything correctly, which is what we need to do because this is a very low budget operation. Just in case we never either made that clear or it was clear based on what's happening here. So
We're low budget?
Yes.
I thought we were no budget.
Well, you had to spend money to get these fine things you're going to mention after a while. So that's going to happen. Hopefully by the next episode, I'll have that all sorted. In which case, the next episode, I might put this one on there, but the next episode might be the first one that actually goes on to other podcasting services. So we'll see on that. And it looks like I can probably also make basically a website on there too. So we'll have that too. We've got a unique Substack address and everything. I've already gone in and claimed all that. So that'll be showing up in the bio on our main page on here and probably under the social media links in the description to all of our videos once I have it in there. So
and probably on the Facebook page once we get all those.
Yeah, and every place else will be, blurting it out there too. So once we have that going, and we've got some plans as to what to do with the newsletter. We're just going to do a couple trial runs to make sure we can keep the content going at a steady rate, so I can say how frequently we're going to be reducing content for it. Because I don't want to start and be like, oh man, this is easy. And then a month into it, realize, oh man, we really should do this every other week or every third week or something. So we'll make sure we do it right. Unlike some of the other haphazard things we've done thus far.
Yeah, we just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. So.
Well, we kind of do, but
and just hopefully that first S-bomb, whatever you want to call it, was with so many seconds within the video that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so, I might conduct an experiment on harsher language here, as far as not actually using it, which is going to make it interesting for the first topic we're going to cover. But let's see. Other than that. I have a Lego video recorded already, but I really don't like the audio on it, so I'm probably going to re-record it, which I'm also going to make it shorter whenever I do. So it's part 3 of the So You Want to Collect Lego Stuff. This is about reselling. Other than that,
we just had our 10th unboxing video that was released last week.
Yeah, Jim. I hate to tell you this.
What?
But somehow, that was actually number 11. Like, I don't know how that happened, but it was.
Well, no, because if you count unboxing some of your stuff, I think.
You guys not know how to count correctly?
No, because when I got all the video files together, and there were 10 of them before I put that one in the folder with them. And I went through and I checked. That's what they're all under.
Yeah, that's okay. I think there was one that
There's probably one that I put it underneath there and probably wasn't supposed to be, so it's on me. But still watch Jim's video because it's awesome.
Regardless, we're gonna call it number 10 because, like I said, I think
we did in the video, so we'll stick with that.
Well, and I think there was, I think there was one that we originally put under the unboxing old stuff, but then we didn't put under unboxing old stuff. But maybe you still filed it under there because I think you changed the name.
That's entirely possible.
Because I'd have to go back through and count. Because I know that I've only unboxed 10 things, and because the one that we did was the 9th one should have been the video games and the whatever. But anyways, the 10th unboxing was the Magnavox Odyssey. It's out now, so I'm no longer going to sugarcoat and say, "Ooh, it's mysterious." No, it's out there now. I definitely go look at that because when you look at the PS5, where it's at, the Xbox Series X, you see where we're at now, and knowing where we came from in 1972.
Yeah,
it's like I said. The main one that got me was the fact that the Magnavox Odyssey can only display 3 dots in a line of varying width and height, no sound, no scorekeeping.
Yeah.
So, very interesting. Go check it out.
Yes, definitely.
For all of you who've been patiently waiting, I am finally getting around to that Hunt for Red October video. Should be coming out eventually.
Yes, he does actually want to sit down and record. We're going to try to get that knocked out this weekend because of the other side of his family having the coup,
the virus,
the virus of unnamed,
the unknown virus of indeterminate origin.
Probably not the T virus.
Hopefully not. That'd be bad.
So I've had my kids all week, so we're gonna try to get some of that stuff knocked out this weekend when we can. So. Those are trying to determine if he's going to do it solo or if he wants me to sit in and kind of help guide him on that, but we'll see.
You need to direct off screen with cue cards and whatnot.
Just holler him out off screen, say, "No, not that.
Yeah,
do that."
You need the bullhorn like you see in the 1920s and 30s directors, so you can yell at them.
Yeah. Besides that, did we have any other videos that we had?
Did the Tales and Collecting for the Colossal Red Dragon.
Yeah.
We're getting some feedback on that.
Yeah, I saw that. A lot of people saying, I should have bought it too when it was...
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it's in hindsight, but...
I'm still surprised people are responding to the Game Boy Micro video.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we get comments to the old videos. I used to get them for some Battletech videos from 8 months ago now, I believe. And I got one from early last year. So...
Well, and I think a lot of that's just because... They're not videos that are dependent upon the date that they're watched. I mean, in BattleTech, you can watch them anytime, not like some of these podcast ones where they're pretty much about the moment.
Yeah, well, speaking of, Owen informed me that he has basically no idea what BattleTech is before we started filming here. So, now I have 2 possibilities to take over the So You Want to Know About BattleTech to be the newbie. I'll let you guys flip a coin for it.
Yeah, well, possibly. So,
we're stranger than newbies.
Maybe, Owen. Maybe you could be onto something there. Let's see. We'll get to that when we get to books. That's for later. I think that's about it. Hopefully, we'll be able to get some stuff recorded here so that we have some new videos to throw at you guys. Because I've got clips for days from the older podcasts, but we need new, because their main purpose is to attract people that don't watch the podcast or just don't have time and just want to see the highlights, however you want to look at it.
I'm telling you, those YouTube shorts, I watched a lot of them because it's nice because it's especially.
Yeah, I mean, well, our big problem is.
Well, yeah, because we don't have a minute worth of day. It's like we have a minute worth of content that we stretch into 5 minutes to 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, all the main shorts I've done have been talking about the BattleTech books I've reviewed.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I have to write a script for, is I have to make sure I can actually read it in a minute or less.
Yeah.
And if I, and I've got to know how fast I have to talk and everything else. The rest of this is totally unscripted. Our writers are still on strike. But,
and unpaid, so.
Yes, they were unpaid interns to begin with. So, anyway.
I don't know what they're striking for then, because it's not like they're going to get any more.
I don't know. They're going to be replaced by Chat GPT if they're not careful.
Well, they want to get they want to get paid more, so I said I'll pay you twice as much. Nothing.
Exactly.
2 times 0 is still 0.
Yes,
yeah. Better than this thing I was reading earlier. This guy, one of his kids had a math test or something, and his teacher told him he got the question wrong, saying 1 divided by 0 is 0. That's what the teacher said. And the guy's like, no, it's not. You can't divide by 0. It's nothing. And the teacher's like, well, I'm elevating this to the principal. And he's like, okay, you're still an idiot. And the principal's like, well, the teacher's right. He's like, well, now what the hell do I do? Like, they're both idiots. Like, there you go, folks. American education system at work.
Yeah, because when I'm writing code and I need to throw an automatic error, you just do a 1 divided by 0.
Yeah.
And it doesn't return 0; it returns an error.
Right, because you can't divide by 0. Like, can't be done. The answer's not 0. The answer's nothing, null. Zip. They even zip is to 0. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There is no answer. Unavailable.
Not applicable.
Yeah.
Sorry, come back next week.
Yeah. Future cloudy. Ask again later. Magic 8 Ball.
Yes. All right.
You ever had one of those, Owen?
Yeah, I had one a while back. Don't know where it went.
We should get one of those for the video. In case we have questions we can't answer. Let the
we-
Magic 8 Ball answer them.
Should we talk about this? No. All right.
Well, moving on. All right, so I think that's most of the channel news. And once we do get like I said, as far as the Substack thing, I'll probably go ahead and put the link in this video, but don't expect there to be anything there yet. It's probably going to take me a week to get everything organized. I mean, it took me a while to figure out how to change the name on it. Like, that was like a half hour trying to find that. And then put our logo on it and everything else. So we're getting there, but I'll at least have a new, like, hey, here's our thing page written up. But we've got to decide what all is going to go there. So give us time, but it is happening. So anyway, that's all we got on channel news.
Yeah.
You good? Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
First topic.
All right. So first topic is yet again involving Disney. Only now it involves Elon Musk too. So, in brief, for those of you who don't know, Elon Musk bought Twitter, which he now calls X, but no one else does because it's still twitter.com. So, and X kind of sounds ridiculous. But, so he bought Twitter and very quickly started running into problems with advertisers. And there were certain groups who, for one reason or another, really seem to not like the way he wants to run the platform, which is essentially trying to make it far more free speech. And they apparently really have a problem with this. And I'm not going to speculate as to why, because it's going to go into topics I really don't want to talk about. But let's just say that these people do exist. So, one such group basically intentionally posted anti-Semitic comments, and then refreshed thousands of times to finally force one of the ads by their comment, and they would take a screenshot of it and be like, look at this, Disney ads next to this anti-Semitic baloney. And well, Elon Musk basically came out and said, well, 1, I know you're the ones posting it, I can prove it. 2, this happened 1 in 6,000 attempts, which means you're obviously trying to game the system. And 3, as he proved in his lawsuit he filed the other day, I'll see you in court. That's what they call torturous interference, I believe. I'm not a lawyer. Don't take that as any kind of legal advice.
That's what he said.
This is Elon Musk's side of the story. And given the history of the other group, I mean, Elon Musk could say the sky is red, and they could say the sky is blue, and I'd look outside to double check. The other side is a pack of lying shitheads. So, anyway, so he was at this conference the other day, and I think this might have actually been live on MSNBC, which if it was, that's spectacular. And the gentleman asked him a question. Well, what if, what about these people that don't want to advertise because of this content? And his response was, and again, I'm going to see if this matters at all for our traction on things. but they can go F themselves. And just point blank, that's what he says. Stunned silence from the crowd because they're a bunch of bigwigs too. And he's directing it to them. And the guy interviewing him just like freezes up. It's like 404 error. Like,
yeah. Well, then he goes, "Hi, Bob."
Well, he does that after he says it the second time. And he says, "Hi, Bob," and he's talking about Bob Iger of Disney, which is why Disney's involved here. And so, because of this, this eventually led to the question of, well, the guy's like, okay, I get it ideologically, because Musk is like, you're going to try to blackmail me with money? And that's what led to the "go F yourself" comment. And he's like, well, what happens if they all pull out? He goes, well, it'll destroy the company. And the guy's like, he's like, oh yeah, I mean, it'll destroy the company. He's like, but we'll make sure that everyone on Earth knows who destroyed it and why, because we have all the documentation. And then, like, the people will decide. Like, they'll know that it's these people trying to use their money to blackmail people with their advertising dollars. And he's banking on that destroying those companies. And he may be onto something, because now, trending on Twitter is, I don't remember what the hashtag is, but it's people calling for a boycott of Disney, because they're one of the big ones doing this. And they know it's because Bob Iger's trying to blackmail them to go along with the stupid crap that Disney keeps trying to pull. So, that Disney is basically pissed off damn near everyone at this point. This wasn't exactly a hard sell. So, yeah. So now it's trending that people are trying to dump Disney Plus to try to make a point. It's like, well, two can play that game. Like, you actually need us as customers to have those dollars to try to blackmail him. So,
Yeah. So they're the ones that were buying this advertisement.
They were one of the big ones, yeah. And Disney's done this before. They did it with YouTube. That's what triggered, I think, the first of the ad apocalypses. Was Disney like, well, you guys have all this questionable content. It's like, you knew what was on there. Like, you knew what it was. You're just trying to use your money to force people to go down a certain road. And advertisers do this a lot. And I used to think it was because, well, they don't want the controversy. Because, like, moms against, I don't know, something will come to and be like, oh, we'll boycott you because you put your advertisements next to this thing. Even though there's only two of us in a basement somewhere and a bunch of Twitter bots, we're going to make it look like there's a whole bunch of us. They never actually go with the boycott. And anytime they do, because they can't, anytime they do, the company figures out real quick, it's like 10 people. Meanwhile, the actual boycotts that are going on right now somehow aren't getting any attention, even though they're actually causing financial destruction to the companies, like Bud Light, for instance. So,
yep.
Yeah. So actual boycotts apparently do nothing. Threatened boycotts that people know there's like 5 people, that's the key to everything. At least for the moment. Disney's kind of finding out real quickly, I think, maybe. But this also kind of plugs into their other problem. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but the guy who threatened to try to basically initiate a hostile takeover a couple months ago, well, they've denied him board seats now, and he's partnered up with Ike Perlmutter, who used to run Marvel, who also owns a bunch of stock, and since the stock's tanked, this guy's just been buying more and more of the stock. Well, he's like, okay, I'm going to the shareholders because you guys are just destroying the company. Like, he's going to try to get them all booted. He's going to try to get Bob Iger fired, which he should be. And, everyone else on the creative staff taken out too.
Yeah, I think it's funny because it's pretty bad when you can go back and say, I think Michael Eisner was actually a good thing for Disney. But, not looking as bad, at least.
You guys go ahead. This is kind of important to read this real quick.
Well,
if you got any comments on all that, because I've got something else after that.
Yeah, Disney not been doing too hot lately.
No.
Marvels and then Wish. I bet they wish they didn't make that movie.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. No, because I saw the clip with Elon. I'm just like, agree with all of what he says, don't agree with what all he says. I do at least give him credit that he speaks his mind and doesn't hold back, on his thoughts. And honestly, we need people like that will point out, you know, the hypocrisy that goes on, and
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's at the. What's the point of having FU money if you don't actually use it sometimes? Because
yeah.
he's the definition of that. Like, no one can touch him. He's the richest man on earth.
I don't know. It still boggles my mind how people want to go to electric vehicles, but then slam him, and all this stuff about expanding, going into space, and his company's also leading the way there. And
I read something the other day. I think he owns more spacecraft than any government owns at this point.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
I'm assuming they're counting the Starlink satellites or something, but no. Like to your point of electric cars. Even he's sitting there saying, "Well, I mean, we can't just ditch fossil fuels right now. Like that's a down the road maybe kind of thing." Like he even said that he's the electric car guy.
Well, it's just kind of funny because back in like 2019, 2020, everyone was praising Elon for saying that Teslas are great, these electric cars.
Well, then he had some opinions, and well, that's what happens.
The thing is that I think there's and again, I'm not saying that you should agree with him or shouldn't agree with him. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm stating with that is that somebody that speaks their mind, and I mean, he doesn't sugarcoat where his positions are at.
Yeah.
And for me, I respect a person that does that. This would be the same thing if there was, either side of the political party. If someone's going to state their opinions and this is what I think versus dancing around it, I mean, I have more respect for that person because at least they're being honest with who they are.
Yeah, that's what I've never understood. Like I think more people fall into that category than people that just want to hear something good. I think. I could be wrong. I don't know. But anyway, so before we go too far down that road, speaking of roads, new Mad Max Furiosa trailer.
Is it? Does it actually have the Mad Max title?
I had said it's like a Mad Max film or saga or something. Like at the end of the trailer, it said that.
Yeah.
So.
Because I don't think Max is going to be anywhere in this.
Oh, I doubt he shouldn't be. So.
But no.
Instead, we get Chris Hemsworth.
No, the interesting part is that Owen hasn't watched any of the Mad Max movies at all, and he even made the comment.
The trailer was well put together.
I think it definitely made him want to go and watch it. Probably maybe go watch it. Probably want to get caught up on the others to kind of get an idea of where.
Or at least Fury Road.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I like the fact that whole line of movies doesn't take itself it takes itself seriously, but not, in a post-apocalyptic way, not a, message or any of that stuff. It's just a story to be told. And
the message there is like people are animals.
Yes, and that's a fine message, and it doesn't have to, have to be slammed in your face if that's what it is. I mean, you just watch and you can tell these people have broken down to, you watch that and you watch the trailer for the new Planet of the Apes, and you're like,
Is there a new Planet of the Apes trailer I missed somehow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it continuing the other movies, or
it's
new series, or
it's Kingdom of the? I want to say it's Kingdom of the Apes. Or
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That's what it said.
Yeah, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is a 2024 film. Which to me looks like it's kind of going back to, like where the apes are the dominant, and it's kind of almost back when like Charlton Heston was running around with the the cave people and getting caught up and wrangled up, and
the Charlton Heston series makes a loop. The 5 movies. I believe in theory you could start with any one of them, and as long as you watch them in order, you'll wind up back where you started. So there's time travel involved.
Oh.
Yeah. In all aspects, the apes. Well, in that one, the apes were pets at first.
Yeah, in the 4th movie, in release order, and I say that because when I just said they all make a loop, so what's really number 1? The 4th movie in release order, mentions that a virus wipes out all the cats and dogs. And so humans are like, well, we still need pets. Hey, what about those monkeys? In a very short order, somehow they become like people in monkey suits type monkeys, which are much larger than actual monkeys, and more humanized than apes. So, yeah, like something definitely had to have happened that they didn't tell us somewhere in there. But they've got them trained to like be waiters and stuff. And then there's like the one that's the son of the two from the future, so it's an intelligent one that can talk. And somehow from him, all the others spring up. So I don't know. That one always felt a little sketchy to me. But because like 1, 2, and 3, like 3 just ends with you knowing that Caesar, that's his name, the ape that's smart. You know that he's still alive, and you can just from there extrapolate. Okay, that's the beginning. But then like you get to 4, and like I don't know here, guys. Like, yeah, 3 and 4 have Ricardo Montalban though, so. Speaking of which, I hate to take this minor diversion, but I was reading something the other day. Apparently, that's not a fake chess piece in the Wrath of Khan.
His?
Yeah, like that's apparently like him. I was reading something about him there one day, and like he like in his life like addressed rumors about that. He's like, no, I work out. So apparently, that's not a fake chess piece in the Wrath of Khan. I always thought it was, but like he claimed it wasn't. So
okay then.
Yeah. And I guess it took some doing to get him to come back for Wrath of Khan. And he had like totally like lost touch with the characters. Like had to get the tape of the Space Seed episode from the original series to really get back into it and everything. And I guess in the original version of the script, the woman who left with him from the Enterprise was supposed to be in it. Because that is the one that's, he mentions his wife. Obviously, it was her. And the actress that played her was still alive, but she had suffered a stroke or something. Was in a wheelchair at that point. They're like, we can't really work that into the storyline because obviously you'd be dead on this planet.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna be wheelchairing around in the sand dunes.
Right. So, yeah, and apparently there's a director's cut that I've apparently never seen that actually like goes into some of the other scenes better. But I'll have to check that out sometime. But anyway, back to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Dumbest damn title I've heard.
Shouldn't be Planet of the Kingdom of the Apes?
Just call it Kingdom of the Apes, a Planet of the Apes story or something.
Yeah, well, that's how that goes. But so don't know if we'll get to do it or not. But the plan is, now this is obviously going to be a week probably from now when this gets, or next week when this gets.
This will go up Monday.
Oh, okay.
So the 4th.
So we're going to make an attempt to go see Godzilla -1. I just wanted to double check. That's what I was checking the IMDb just to make sure there's not going to be something like, bad for Grant. And no, it just says that it says severe action, but I'm pretty sure that's just monster rampaging through city.
Severe action. I don't know if I've ever heard it called that before.
Well, it gives you a rating, like say profanity. It can be mild, it can be severe.
Okay.
So like intense action, it was severe.
I mean, it's a euphemism for something.
No.
There's no severe action.
I wouldn't see how that would fit in a Godzilla movie, but you never know.
No, and as a parent, if you haven't ever looked at the IMDb thing and looked up, they have a section at the bottom that tells you the parent's guide or whatever.
Excuse me.
Frightening and intense scenes. That's what it says. Frightening and intense scenes has it marked as severe. And it's nice because you can actually go on there and see. Yeah, this is talk about like atomic bombs and Godzilla, destroying the city and stuff, and that's considered severe.
So I guess it's going back to the Godzilla roots of, metaphor for the atomic bomb.
Yes, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Godzilla should not be a friend of mankind. He was never created.
Yeah, I mean, even in the Japanese movies, and half of me kind of is.
Well, yeah, he turned into that later because people are like, well, no, we want him to fight things and be like,
Well, he can still fight things. It's like he can be like, no, this is my island to destroy. Like, you can get out of here.
I know, but
especially his space bastards.
But when he fought, when it was Godzilla versus Megalon, because that was when it just went completely ridiculous because you had Megalon and Gigan with the saw blade in his chest and the hook arms.
Yeah.
versus Godzilla and Jet Jaguar.
Is that the guy that can grow really big?
Yes, and
I think I've seen like the last half of that movie.
I believe Jet Jaguar was actually a submission entry for someone to fight along with Godzilla.
And they chose that guy.
Didn't have Ultraman yet.
Well, he is obviously an Ultraman ripoff, but you know that your Godzilla movie has gone down, gone off the rails when Godzilla has a dancing scene in it.
Is that the one where he does like the flying kick at one of them?
Yes, he does the tail.
Yeah,
the tail slide.
Yes. The most effective of combat maneuvers for a giant atomic fire-breathing reptile.
But it is what it is. I'm not gonna. I enjoyed the movie. That was one of the ones that my dad actually had on VHS. So, it was a lot of memories there. So I'm not gonna bash it too much. But no, this looks like it's gonna go back to like the original movie roots, where Godzilla is nothing but a terror. And
yeah. No, they need to do like what I saw one person suggest. This is like their tagline or something like, the Godzilla movie takes on a whole other meaning if you watch it in reverse. It's a benevolent lizard rebuilding a burnt down city.
Well, maybe. No, the Godzilla that was killed in the very first, and I think it was 1955. I could be wrong on the year on that.
King of the Monsters.
Yeah.
With the oxygen destroyer.
Yes, where they use his skeleton to build Mechagodzilla.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and it's either Mechagodzilla or Mogira, one of the two. I think it's Mechagodzilla.
I thought Mechagodzilla was a robot from space.
Well, one of them. But another one, they actually went back and used his skeleton to. Anyways. So, as I was gonna say, that's it. That's all I've got on movies, because we'll have to see if we get to go see it. I'm planning on it. I'll have to go to Bloomington or Evansville.
Well, I've got two other things. One, there's the personal note. I tried to go watch Thanksgiving last week at the Jasper 8. That's a theater close to us here. And, I got down there, and they told me that the sound was out. So they just canceled their movies for the rest of the day for that particular movie. The other 7's still going. Didn't get rid of Wish and put it in that theater, or the Marvels, or whatever other random crap that's just bombing at the box office. To watch, the movie named for the holiday that was 2 days before that. I consider that very poor decision making on their part. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch that before it comes to home video or not. Or rather, probably come to streaming before home video, but you folks know what I mean. So there's that, which that sucks. But also there's a casting rumor going around one of the Marvel movies, which there's multiple reasons we need to talk about this.
Well, first of all, is it the casting for Hyperion?
No. Who are they saying they're going to cast for Hyperion? It better be Henry Cavill, which would be spectacular.
Now, I'm assuming that was just a work of fan fiction.
Well, you never know. Henry Cavill might go along with it. Stick it to DC. For those of you who are unaware, by the way, Hyperion is one of Marvel's version of Superman. He leads the Squadron Supreme, who's their knockoff of the Justice League. So the main reason you'd use him is if you're going to make a Squadron Supreme movie, which would also be excellent, by the way. But anyway, no, this is for the Sentry, actually, who Henry Cavill should also play, because he's also a Superman knockoff. And then he should also play Gladiator whenever they cast him, too, because he's also a Superman knockoff. It'd be great if he just played all of them. But anyway, no, do you know who Stephen Yeun is? Watch any of The Walking Dead?
No. But...
So you don't know who Glenn is?
Yeah, I know.
That's apparently who Robert Kirkman is saying they have in talks to play the Sentry.
I don't know who that is.
Which one?
The actor.
He is a gentleman of, I believe, Korean descent. I could be wrong on that, so I apologize if I am. But most of his characters are, so I assume he actually is. But he's Asian. Asian descent.
Him.
Yeah, I see it.
Does it by any chance, you see the resemblance there? Does it by any chance mention how tall he is or anything in that?
No.
Okay, well, I'm fairly certain that he's not overly tall. And Sentry should be taller than I am. And I'm pretty sure I'm taller than him. So I'm not going to go into the fact that they want an Asian gentleman to play a gigantic blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy. Like we've covered that in past videos. I'm not going to go down that road. I'm going to go with he's not big enough. Like they need if they're going to cast an Asian guy for this, they need Bolo Young, assuming he's kept up his workout routine, even though he's got to be like 90 at this point. He was literally known as the Chinese Hercules. He's like the most built Asian gentleman I've ever seen in a movie. And he could play the Sentry probably.
Well,
I think he lives in Russia now, though, so maybe not.
I mean, the question is, and again, I'm not saying that every actor hired has to look exactly like the role. I'm not saying that. But what was the casting decision that said this is who we need to get to play the Sentry?
Who knows?
No, I mean,
this is one that it's just like I'm just baffled. Like it's one thing if you're like, okay, let's get was it Pedro Pascal to play Mr. Fantastic?
Yeah.
Okay, well, he's probably a little short for the role, and obviously, Mr. Fantastic's white and he's Hispanic. But beyond that, like, okay, he's a decent actor. Maybe we can CGI him to make him a little bit taller or something. I don't know. But we can get close.
Yeah.
Or even if it is, a more visibly striking, black actor playing a white character. As long as it still generally have like the same build and everything.
Well,
like
the one that comes to mind for that is Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin.
Yeah, and he did an excellent job as Kingpin.
Because he
had the build and he had the acting.
He took on the towering trait of Kingpin. I mean,
yeah.
When Ben Affleck was fighting him, as Ben Affleck played Daredevil, when they were fighting, I mean, you felt like there's no way Daredevil was going to be able to beat this guy because he was imposing on top.
Right. So he at least had other traits of the character. Like this is like, I don't know. This is like hiring me to play one of the dwarves in the upcoming Snow White movie. How about that? Because it looks like that's what they did. Yeah, like this is just a complete mismatch. I mean, again, forget the race part, which is still sketchy too. But because if I recall correctly, his origins go back to the 40s when race relations weren't exactly great in the United States. But yeah, what are they going to do? Here's this padded suit so you can walk around looking like Ben Affleck in, I can't remember the name of the movie. I think it's the Black Dahlia, where he played, that's not the Black Dahlia, where he played George Reeve, who played Superman in the old series, who, so he's got this big padded suit, and which, by the way, after watching that, I think Ben Affleck could have played Superman. But, no, this is just what the fuck is this, But,
oh, yeah. It's far enough in.
We're conducting an experiment, Jim. I might have to bleep it. So, which is going to really suck in the editing process. But anyway, just ignoring the clear, striking visual difference that he's not a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy. He's also not 6'2" and built like a brick shithouse.
Yeah.
This just doesn't work.
There are some times where there's some funny irony in who they cast, like when they cast when they had Peter Dinklage playing the dwarf in Thor Ragnarok, or not Thor, no, Infinity,
I know what you're talking about.
Infinity War.
Yeah.
Yes, where he played, but then they also made him giant, bigger than all the other people, but he was still a dwarf, which I don't know if that was how it was in the comics at all.
I assume it's a comic book thing.
I thought that was funny, but I mean, again, they hired somebody that fits that role really, really well because there's so many actors out there that can only play. I say can only play, are more specialized to play certain roles. I mean, obviously, little people playing dwarf, makes a little bit more sense than what they did with
than him playing Bolivar Trask.
Yeah.
Which is fine. He's in good company because Bill Duke played Bolivar Trask in X-Men 3, and neither of them look like Bolivar Trask. And I like Bill Duke. He's great. He was awesome in The Predator.
Well, and I see people some complaints where they got Hugh Grant to play the Oompa Loompa in the new Willy Wonka.
Wait a minute. What?
Yes.
You haven't heard of Wonka?
I've heard of it. It's Timothy Chalamet's playing Wonka, right?
I don't remember who's playing that, but yes, no, it's Hugh Grant playing the Oompa Loompa.
Why? Why? He's too tall to play Wolverine, and now he's going to go play a midget. But I'm pretty sure they're going to turn him into a midget with CGI or something.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because Wolverine's like 5 feet tall. So yeah, like Hugh Grant, good actor. You know, did an okay job as Wolverine, I guess. Even though it was mainly screaming and everyone around him dying and him having fake tears, and then taking a bunch of steroids. But he's too tall for the role. Like they need like some 5-foot guy that's actually not overly attractive.
Yes.
Oh. So,
Which I know is a problem, by the way, because again, it's Hollywood. You don't want to actually see ugly people on the screen in your main roles. No one wants to see a bunch of people that they don't want to see the average person on screen. We're going to see the pretty people. I know it. I get it. Whatever.
You know who? Let's see if they actually show. Yeah. So there's. Oh, dang it! I didn't click on it.
Hugh Grant.
Yes.
Weren't we talking about Hugh Jackman?
No, I said Hugh Grant.
Oh, well, I totally misheard you, Jim.
You...
Hugh Grant does not play Wolverine, folks. That's Hugh Jackman I'm talking about. It's too tall. Hugh Grant's probably also too tall and too British and too handsome. But played his character in Dungeons and Dragons quite well, though. He really fit for that. The smarmy con man, he's got that down.
So, Chris Pratt strikes again. Now they have him voicing Garfield.
Yeah, I heard something about that. I don't think of that. I'm not going to watch the movie, so I don't care. But
I'm just saying, that's not exactly a match either.
Because he's not a cat.
No, I'm saying, if you've seen the original Garfield cartoons...
You mean the ones from the 90s?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them. I was alive then.
I'm just saying, I don't think Chris Pratt's fit for the role.
Well,
he's probably not.
The problem is that it's just Chris Pratt playing. He doesn't sound like he has a Monday.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be willing to see what he does with it. Not that I'm going to watch the movie, but I understand your overarching point. It's like whenever they cast Hugo Weaving as Megatron. Hugo Weaving didn't do anything. He's just Hugo Weaving with a digitized voice. The reason they cast Hugo Weaving is because it was actually cheaper to get him than the guy who actually does his voice in the old cartoon, Frank Welker. Frank Welker is like the highest paid voice actor in Hollywood because he has like 400 credits to his name. Like, yeah, that's why they hired him. Is because Hugo Weaving, Agent Smith, is cheaper than the real voice actor they needed to hire. Meanwhile, Peter Cullen, super iconic Optimus Prime voice, apparently not that expensive. Of course, he was also in an episode of Invincible here towards the end. I think it was. I still got to look at it to make sure it's him. But if it's not him, it's got to be someone that sounds exactly like him.
Well, speaking of voice actors, supposedly Mark Hamill will never reprise his role as the Joker.
I've heard that, but isn't it because it's like his throat's screwed up from it or something? Wasn't that part of the deal? I know he also doesn't want to because of
Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy's gone, but I know before that he was already highly reluctant to come back and do it. So, yeah. Oh well.
I mean, we have...
Maybe he can come back for like Wing Commander 5 or 6 or whatever number they're on.
You can come back as a trickster.
There you go. He can be a Force Ghost in the upcoming movie with Rey. That I'm sure will probably not actually happen. Because now that Dave Filoni's the creative director...
Hey, if he makes the 3 movies a fever dream that somebody had...
Well, that's what I'm hoping for, but I think it's going to be more like, hey guys, those other characters I created in the Clone Wars? Yeah, we're just going to focus on them too. And they're all going to be indestructible too, just like Ahsoka. So, here we go. And the Empire's just going to be complete incompetent boobs. Let's go for it. Like, it's one of those like, yeah, he's definitely got the energy. The problem is it's like focused all in the wrong areas. I hate to say this. I don't hate to say this, but they need to be like, Jon Favreau, like, you can kind of wrangle Dave Filoni, can't you? Like, why don't you try that? And if you have to, do it physically. Like,
Like...
You've got experience with multi-billion-dollar franchises. Get in there, champ.
Dave Filoni, he's like a mixed bag. I can respect him.
A very mixed bag.
But some of the...
I think all the excesses and the bad decisions in the Ahsoka show were probably his decisions is the problem. So it's like I'd rather him than someone that actively hates the franchise and is trying to change it. I'd rather it just be like fanboy crap than we hate the fans crap. Because if I have to choose between the two, because at least Ahsoka looks pretty, and there's parts of it that are good.
Except for surviving an orbital bombardment underneath a Star Destroyer.
Yeah, I mean, there's parts of it that are terrible. It's just bad writing. It's definitely like, you know why the term Mary Sue exists? Like, do you know what the origin of the term is?
Yeah, it was like from like a
Star Trek fan fiction. Yes, Dave Filoni's like the woman that wrote that. Only he actually got to create the characters in the canon, and then they were like, "Hey, make them real, and here's a bunch of money. Go for it." And he's just like, "Yes."
Are you calling Ahsoka Mary Sue?
Yes, kind of. Although it's more Sabine than her, but Sabine. Oh, I just learned how to use the Force earlier today. All right. What's his name? The other Jedi that they went to the other galaxy to find.
Ezra.
I'm going to throw you up to the Star Destroyer. Like, no. I'm sorry. You don't learn to use the Force and immediately, you can just do that. That is absolutely not how any of that is supposed to work.
That'd be funny if they just let him splat on the ground.
That would have been hilarious. I would have given him major points for that.
Or have him fall and then Ahsoka catch him and then pull him up and then well, I guess we were just all stuck.
Or have him fall and then have it be a Force vision because you don't control those. And she's like, "Oh, that's a bad idea." Maybe I shouldn't try that. But no, she should not have had abilities anywhere near that. It's on par with Rey not even knowing how anything in the Force works. Being like, "Oh, Kylo Ren's trying to mind screw me, so I'm going to mind screw him," and it's like, no, that's not how that works.
Now, I say in the moment of desperation, her being able to pull a lightsaber to her, maybe, but...
Yeah, maybe, in desperation, the telekinetic thing, sure. And I can buy her being able to fight Kylo, because Kylo had been shot in the side by Chewbacca. Okay, it's a stretch, but sure thing. But, the second fight later on in the other successive movies, she should have gotten completely pwned by him.
Well,
as the kids say on the internet, I think.
It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but pulling a lightsaber in desperation, isn't that literally what happened to Luke in The Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's after he had started being trained by Obi-Wan. Didn't get very far, but he'd started. Mm-hmm. He had proven that he had at least the ability to use the Force with the torpedo thing. Okay? So, presumably... he wasn't just sitting around twiddling his thumbs between that point and Hoth, which has to be at least months, if not a year later. So he's presumably been at least trying. As he has seen Obi-Wan do things, so he knows they're possible. And Obi-Wan has talked about things, so he knows they're possible. He just has to figure out how to do it. So, yeah. I can get behind that. Plus, again, super desperation, and right afterwards, then he almost dies in the snow. He wasn't super competent. It's like, "No, Han, I got this. Go back. I just killed this Wampa, and I'm just going to hide in him for a while, knowing any Wampa steaks in the morning. You and Wedge can just fly out here and meet me." That's essentially the gist of, what Ahsoka does. Not Ahsoka. What Rey does in the movies. And what Ahsoka and Sabine end up doing in that series. Although, I will grant that Ahsoka would have drowned at some point had, they not found her. Mm-hmm. Presumably. Unless her race is... aquatic that we don't know about, because she should have drowned at some point while she was out there. She was out there for a day.
Well, Magic Force comatose colony.
Yeah. That's why the people that do the trailers to make older movies, Ahsoka will win using new Force powers such as water breathing.
But no, I mean,
quick change where it takes 10 seconds for her to put the spacesuit on and go out and fight on the edge of the ship.
But so. Pulling a lightsaber, I look back at when, and I know this is dumb, but when Luke was trying to lift the X-Wing, he could lift small things like stones and stuff like that, but you have to have it in your mind to be able to do all that other stuff. And
exactly. He didn't learn the important lesson that Star Killer learned, at least in the book.
Not the size.
No. It's not that the Force has limits, it's that they limit the Force. the Force is limitless. That's why Star Killer can do just the stupendous things he can do, because he has the mindset to know that that's the deal.
You know what? I'm not going to limit myself. I'm going to pull down that Star Destroyer.
Exactly. Yeah, the Force Unleashed novel is is way better than it has any right to be for a video game adaptation novel. So is the second one, by the way.
Is it better than the second game?
I don't know. I didn't finish the second game. The day I bought it, I got 3/4 of the way through it in like 2 hours. And then I realized the spot I was stuck was like 10 minutes from the end of the game or something, an hour from the end of the game. Never turned it back on. Which sucks because I pre-ordered that game too. So that means I bought that game like 10 years ago and never turned it back on. I should try to actually beat that at some point. So yes, up to that point it definitely was. So yeah.
Yes,
Any other movie news?
or
thoughts? Do we have anything? We've got wildly off course there.
Well, we could talk about the movies I picked up.
Well, hang on, we'll get to those.
Well,
We're going to cover that under miscellaneous.
well, might as well just cover us the movies.
Here we go.
What?
Go for it.
Well, I was going to say, as far as the movie front goes, I picked up some more obscure video formats here. Well, not so obscure, because Laserdisc is pretty on point, but wish we had had this for our Star Trek retrospective. It would have been great if we could watch the Star Trek 6 on Laserdisc.
Well, we can always bring it up whenever we do the Next Generation movies.
Yeah. But no, yeah, I got a copy of Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country on Laserdisc for $4. I thought that was a hell of a deal, and it looks like it's in really, really great shape.
You have a player for it.
I do not. Laserdisc players are pretty expensive to come by. However, I do have a CED player, so I can play the other two movies that I got. So, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and this is not a one of two. Some of these are like on two different.
For those of you who are only listening to this as the podcast, these are the giant disc type things that we've had in the background on some others.
You had it on the Halloween video.
The Halloween video, the one for Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. We had it up. Well, we had it through all the Halloween videos, but that's the movie it was. And then we also had it in the first part of our Star Trek retrospective.
Yep. So yeah, this is Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I like on the bottom here that says coming to a theater near you, May 25th, 1984, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And also this one was $4 as well. And last but not least, there were other ones there I could have picked up, but I wanted to just get a few of them. This one looks like it may have been a rental copy because it's got a number on the top. James Bond, Live and Let Die, with Roger Moore.
Oh yes, where he has to fight Kananga, the drug kingpin from Haiti, I believe. Yeah, voodoo guy.
Also, probably one of the greatest Bond soundtracks that.
Well, yeah,
with the Beatles.
Well, it's Paul McCartney and Wings, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, Live and Let Die.
It's post Beatles.
Oh, well, yeah.
Also, that song was redone by Guns N' Roses. If you prefer a rock flair to it, I haven't liked the Guns N' Roses version.
Yeah.
But that also featured Jane Seymour as Solitaire, which, if you know what the naming scheme for the ladies in the Bond movies is, you'll understand there's a second meaning to that. And it also fits her character. Oh, do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
No.
All in most of the Bond movies, the women, their names, it's some kind of sexual innuendo.
Yes.
Okay, well, she's a tarot card reader.
Yeah, that's when they've got the tarot cards on the front here.
Who supposedly she would lose her powers if she was ever with a man. So her name is Solitaire because she plays alone. Solitaire is a solo game, so
yeah.
So hopefully most of you folks get where I'm going with that because I'm not going any farther. But
yes, I mean Owen's 16, but you know.
Oh, okay. Now
yeah,
never actually seen the Bond movie.
You're missing out, Owen. Some of the greatest action coupled with a whole lot of paperwork and flying places and checking into hotel rooms and driving with bad background scenes and.
I have played GoldenEye on the N64.
Yeah, I think everyone has.
Yes, and
That was a rite of passage back in the 90s.
And an unwritten rule for everyone that played GoldenEye, when you played the 4-player, 3-player, when you played the multiplayer, there was always that unwritten rule that no one can play Odd Job. Because Odd Job was the only character you actually had to aim down to shoot. And he didn't get any better in Nightfire either, because in Nightfire...
No, Nightfire's got the hat. You can just kill you instantly. That's why you play Odd Job. Ding, you're dead.
But at least you didn't have to aim down to shoot him.
Well, no, because he shouldn't be short. I mean, Odd Job was regular height and stacked. He was a sumo wrestler.
Yeah, no, I have no idea why in the N64 version they made him...
Like, Knick Knack should be the short guy.
And maybe who they were mixing him up with.
Yeah.
Because Knick Knack is played by... I should know the guy's name, but he played the second on Fantasy Island with Ricardo Montalban.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's in The Man with the Golden Gun. Scaramanga is the main villain in that, played by Christopher Lee.
Yeah, it doesn't get talked about as much, but James Bond Nightfire, equally good game as GoldenEye.
Yes,
Yeah, I like Nightfire.
The Sentinel missiles.
I like having the missile fight in the sub pen, where it's just the ground and just the walkway around it. There's like a few little places you can go, but like that's it. I turn it on the heat-seeking missiles, and just run along the catwalk, just blasting them. They'll just go. They'll hit somebody.
However,
your lifespan is very short in that.
I'd probably recommend the GameCube version because for some reason, I think the PC version has some weird differences.
Oh, I've got the Xbox version is one I've got. I played the GameCube version. My cousin Gabe had a GameCube. Played the crap out of it. But I've got the Xbox version and played it with my nephew because I think it does convert to the Xbox One. So I think I might have actually just busted out my old Xbox to play it. I don't know. I had that hooked up, so I might have.
All right.
Speaking of which, if you're listening to this and you have my copy of Mortal Kombat from the Xbox 360, I'd like that back. So I still haven't found it. It's worth a shot. It's going to be better than the Facebook post, probably. Although more than likely the people I know on Facebook are the ones who have it. Yeah. So I think that's it for movies.
Yep.
What's next on the agenda?
All right. Next is books, which are going to be relatively short. I have finally finished the BattleTech book I've been reading for a while. Blitzed through it the other day. It is Elements of Treason, Duty, because there are several books in the series. But I'll be doing a review for that very soon, hopefully. So look for that. Don't know what I'm going to go on to next. Might be a real book. We'll see. Owen?
As I said before, the Hunt for Red October book versus movie comparison is going to come out eventually.
Okay. Fair enough.
Don't have much else more to say on the book front.
What was the last book that you read with that? Gosh, you had it here on the table.
Splinter Cell?
Splinter Cell.
Oh, yeah, Splinter Cell Checkmate, like the second or third in the series. Yeah, for like the book adaptation of a video game. It's not based on any of the games. It was pretty good. I couldn't say it was a masterpiece, but it wasn't bad either.
All right.
Enough that he had asked for possibly some more of the Splinter Cell books, which he may or may not be getting. So, we will have to see on that. But yeah, I guess I don't have time to read with my job right at the moment.
All right. So I guess next will be gaming.
All right. What
do we have?
Oh no, we've got topics. So first, Wizards of the Coast has apparently decided that they're going to ban or change a number of words in their books, like between printings. So this is almost definitely a direct result of them hiring their sensitivity readers. And I'll give you my opinion on them here in a second. But here's some examples of what has apparently been changed or just simply removed. Words like blind, fat, slavery and slaves, insane, possibly the phrase dark elves when describing the drow, even though they're literally elves that are physically dark. Savage, barbarian, somehow, even though that's the name of one of their classes. And since, they got to be equal, civilized as well. So, yeah. Saw this in a video there the other day. It's apparently making the rounds. Wizards of the Coast is, again, pleading to a crowd that does not buy their stuff. So, awesome business decision. Probably why their sales are declining.
Well, and just in general, I mean, taking a word like you said, blind, for example, or fat. I mean, especially in a story, in a world or whatever, if you want to decide not to use those words in your own campaign, fine, go ahead and do that. But you have to understand that not everybody is so concerned about,
Well, Jim, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what their counter argument is.
What?
If you don't care, you can use those words in your campaign if you want to.
And
no, trust me, I've seen this argument play out 1,000 times online. That's what it always turns into, and it's like, I get that, but you realize you're like 5% of the population. Like, we're bending over backwards because you're morons. Like, sorry.
Like,
if something like blind, like, are we really gonna change that to something? I don't even know what that's changed to. I'm assuming it's visually impaired. But like, does that really sound like something someone in a medieval setting would say? Not at all.
no, and that's the thing. It's a fantasy.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even going to get into the problem of some of these things that wouldn't actually exist in those settings. For instance, I really shouldn't even do this, but here we go. I'm going for it. So, like, people that are transgender. Now, I'm not saying they wouldn't exist. What I'm saying is there's magic in those settings to actually change your gender. Like, so at that point, you're just a woman if you were a man before, or you're a man if you were a woman before, or you're a dragon or an elf or whatever you change yourself into. You actually have far more options there. But like, you just wouldn't be the other thing. Like, you would just magic yourself into the other thing. Like,
well, unless you're somebody that can't magic themselves into it, and
well, I mean, and you could have that for sure, because I'm sure it's not cheap magic, but like, that's kind of some of the same argument against like the wheelchair bound people that they put in there. Number one being that they probably wouldn't have a wheelchair because they probably wouldn't make them, or they'd have to be a one-off, which I think they're implied to be like magic items. As stupid as that sounds. But like, again, unless you're like cursed from a god or something, magic can fix that. And it's just stuff that just doesn't logically fit in the setting, in most of the settings. Now, some settings like Dark Sun, sure. Except there they'll just kill you. Because, well, Dark Sun's a very harsh setting. Like, people that are not able don't make it in that setting. And if they don't kill you, if the other people don't kill you, the planet will. Because it's harsh. It's like 120 degrees in the shade. Like, that's not a setting that people with issues survive in.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, like I was saying, though, the argument will be, well, if you don't want it, don't put it in your setting. And then we just keep going down this road, and the game just keeps getting driven into the ground. And everyone's like, what? Why are the sales declining? It's like, well, maybe it's what the people that have been playing the game for 30 years are telling you is the problem. Maybe. I don't know.
No, they're the problem. What are you talking about?
Well, that's the problem, is they think they are the problem. See, they're not looking to expand the audience, they're looking to replace the audience. And that's like the dumbest business avenue you could ever go down. Because if you have a hardcore audience that spends insane amounts of money on your products, are you actually sure there's another one out there to find? I mean, I get that they want to be people like, like their Tumblr fans who like the same things they like. I get that. But that audience isn't out there. Those people don't spend money on this stuff. They don't spend money on anything if they can help it. I mean, half of them don't even believe in capitalism, if you folks know where I'm going with that one. Like, they're big fans of community property, we'll say. And so, yeah, like it's dumb. It's the same thing Hollywood's doing, and Hollywood's crashing and burning. I just do not understand how people can't look at all the examples around them of these things just epically failing and like, we'll get it right this time. Consequently, also a big state, also something that big fans of the not capitalist system keep saying, we'll get it right this time. I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they will.
You know, it just like most of these words are just descriptors.
Yeah, well, I mean, like some of this doesn't even make sense. Okay, like savage, like that doesn't necessarily. I know they're driving at, oh, that's been used against people in the real world. I'm sure it has been. I'm sure a whole hell of a lot of words have been. If that's your criteria, you may as well just quit.
Like,
Because someone's going to have a problem with whatever you place savage with. Someone's going to have a problem with whatever you place civilized with. It's just going to keep going because they have sensitivity readers. And this is kind of a major like metaphysical, not metaphysical thing here. If your job depends on you finding problems, you're going to keep finding problems. Like, that's all there is to it.
Yeah, because what are you going to do once your job's done?
Exactly. It will never be done. And since it will never be done, you're eventually just going to destroy whatever it is you're targeting. Sorry, Owen.
Yeah, but some of these words, what are you going to replace slavery with? Indentured servitude?
I think so, actually. Well, I think they just called them servants. Is what they changed that to.
Yeah,
it's
but
just kind of like,
the problem is,
well, I mean,
you're taking a word that's meant to be a bad thing because you don't want to say, oh, these people they're not just servants, they're enslaved to these people. It's
right.
meant to be a bad word,
right, and that kind of ties back into the advertising problem. Because the argument is, oh, my ad was next to it. Clearly, I endorse whatever it was. It's like, no, that's not how that works. Dungeons and Dragons, the whole point of the damn game is to fight villainous things and creatures and people. But if you can't allow them to be villainous, what are you actually doing? Oh, they're your servants. I don't need to free them then. Because that implies that they're here willingly. Oh, they're unwilling servants. Oh, well, don't tell me that. Because, I can't handle that. I'm going to wilt like a flower in the sun over here. It's like, you're eventually going to get to the point of like, okay, well, it's a bunch of people that are all neutral and have never done any evil things towards one another. It's like, so why are we fighting them? I don't know. They had a bad coffee order at your.
Oh, no, because fighting and attacking is wrong. You can't.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that eventually, I'm sure.
So you're going to be like, okay, so I'm going to go frolic in this field. Okay, can you roll for your dexterity?
Jim, you can't make them roll. They might fail.
No. It doesn't matter. It just matters, you roll just to say that that's what you're doing. Oh, I rolled a 1. Oh, that's okay. You made it still.
Well, I mean, sure, but what about the person that's sensitive to that sound the die makes when it hits the table?
It reminds me of the one thing where it was some sort of sensitivity conference, and they were like, "Don't applaud because the applause can trigger some people to have a."
Yeah, and for the record, just be crystal clear. If you happen to actually have that, one, you have my sympathy. But two, like, maybe don't go to a conference.
Well, I know, but I mean, at some point you have to be like, okay, I've got these things that trigger me. I have to learn how to adapt a little bit in the world because I can't expect everyone to fold into what makes me the most comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things, you can accommodate people for. Like, make sure that at least one of the entrances to a building has a ramp so people in wheelchairs can get up it, probably a couple of entrances, that's perfectly fine. You can make all the entrances ramps. Normal people can still use ramps.
Yeah.
You can make all the stalls handicapped accessible because normal people can. I'm sorry, not normal people, people who don't have disabilities. Okay, so I'm not wanting to shit talk people that are in wheelchairs. Most of it's not their fault.
Yeah,
except for that one crazy person I've read about who is perfectly fine, but feels like they're disabled, so they roll around in a wheelchair and are actually trying to get a doctor to cripple them.
That's like a trans.
I could do that for free.
Yeah, just get out in front of my car.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can tell they're not committed to it. If they really believe it, they throw themselves down a flight of stairs. Not that I'm saying they should do that.
Well, that's like I've seen where a person felt like they should be blind and then blinded themselves.
You see, like that's insanity, is what that is. I'm not a medical doctor, but I feel pretty safe in that descriptor there. Like, people should not be enabling that. Like, no, you need to sit that person down, probably slap them in the face, and be like, "What the hell is wrong with you? Like, why would you want that?" You know?
Vision's one of, like your biggest.
Well, the thing it all boils down to is that there are people that want special treatment.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. But yeah. So anyway, I don't know if we left anyone else out to piss off here on YouTube, but
I suppose my final thoughts
Owen thought of somebody. Let's hear it.
On changing these words is, where does it end?
It doesn't.
That's the problem.
And so, like,
and the problem is that there's no need for it because there's already. Come on, cat, get off the board. No.
Hey. Sorry,
we got a cat that's decided to go with the audio equipment and start chewing on the cable. So if you heard a bunch of gnawing on cables, that was one cat. Get out of there.
Yeah, Owen, like, to your point, it's part of a larger problem. Okay, these people, some of these people, there's other people that legitimately have issues, and I do wish them the best in either getting help that actually succeeds or acclimating or what have you, because I don't enjoy people just suffering. But the problem is they look at this as a zero-sum game. They don't look at it the way you should look at it. It's like the same thing with the movies. Instead of creating what they want to see, they have to destroy something else to turn it into what they see. Okay? Versus like what Tyler Perry has done. Tyler Perry has his own studio. Okay? You can swap characters all you want. That's not going to solve the problem. The problem is the people at the top are all the same. The people that make all the decisions. That's how you enact real change. And the change doesn't have to be the head of Disney needs to not be a white guy. He needs to be the head of a studio. Make your own studio. And I know that's a lot of money and people can't just do that randomly, but like Tyler Perry has made his own studio. He makes his own movies. He gets to chart the course. That's real diversity right there. And for RPGs, make your own game. Don't think you have to co-op Dungeons & Dragons. Make your own, stick with Dungeons & Dragons, but make your own setting. That has all the things you want in it. Get it published. I'm sure you easily could.
Well, that's
Wizards of the Coast to get right behind you on it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is that there's nothing stopping them from making their own edition that says, for people that get triggered, here's your own edition, but we're going to still keep both editions so that you could have what's there, and then and like you said, I'd put in another setting so that there's an obvious reason why there's maybe those words not included.
I mean that's what you do. And so then you might even make a lot of money off of it if you're correct and all these people really exist that want this. They're going to buy it. You're going to make money off of it. But I strongly suspect that a big reason is, one, these people aren't very creative. Two, they actively want the destruction of the other thing. Like, it's not enough that they get what they want. It's they have to deny someone else something. They have to deny the majority or whoever they're going after this week, whatever boogeyman. And so that just happens, and it's like, no, like, Wizards of the Coast, they have a platform to publish stuff. Just submit it to publication, and it'll go up for sale on their thing. And if you don't want to take their version of it, go to Drive Through RPG, put it up for sale. Go and advertise it for free on Facebook and Twitter, or X, or whatever you want to call it. Or whatever everyone supposedly defected to, but then a week later came back. But or go to the Facebook version. I think there's still 10 people on there. But go to Reddit and advertise it. Make videos on YouTube. That's what I plan on doing.
We make videos on YouTube?
Well, obviously we do that. I mean, like, to advertise stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's not because from what I just said, I'm sure some people take it the wrong way. I want to be crystal clear. If people want to make that stuff, go right ahead. Nobody is stopping you. Okay? If you want to make a setting that has those things, if you want to make a whole game, go for it. Actually diversify the market. Just do it. But quit thinking that you have to destroy the thing that's there. I mean, I know you don't. Most people probably don't think it in those terms. A lot of people probably think they're actually enhancing it, and they're not. They're radically changing it because it boils down to they will sit there and say, "But no one cares about what I want," and their solution is to not care about what anyone else wants.
What? You're yawning a lot. You're making me yawn over here.
So their solution is to just be totally self-centered and only care about what they want. That does not work in the long term because that's not how anything works in capitalism. You have to sell people something that they want.
Yeah, but when you make it the only thing left on the market, the people feel like that's all that there is to buy it, or they don't buy it at all. Good news is there's the used market. There's what's already out there.
Yeah, there's the used market. Whereas Disney's finding out, people just stop buying it.
Yeah.
They'll take the "I just don't buy it at all" option. You'll still get plenty of sales, I'm sure. Like Disney's not going to be destroyed by anything that's happening right now. It's too big. But they're definitely taking a hit. It's a noticeable hit. And it's because they're not producing things people want. Now, in their defense, it takes a long time to produce a movie. Like, if you're halfway through production and all of a sudden you're like, oh, the tide's turning against us, like, what do? You've got that sunk cost. Like, you've got to see it through, just in case.
The sunk cost fallacy?
Well, it's not. I don't think it's a fallacy at that point, but yes, the sunk cost fallacies. Well, you probably know what it actually is, right? Well, I've done these things up to this point. I have to keep going.
Yeah, even though it may turn out worse.
Yeah, I don't think it would turn out worse for them because most of the costs are already actually sunk.
Yeah.
It's like you spent $200 million to make this movie. You got to release it.
But then they get hit with the marketing costs too.
Yeah, you're probably right on that. But I mean, there's no chance of getting the money back one way. There's at least a chance of getting some money back the other way. But yeah, it's definitely a variation of it. But yeah. So, kind of in that vein, I showed you the video. There's apparently one company that's like doing all the writing for all kinds of games now. And it's because the game companies are lazy. They're just hiring it out to someone else.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's lazy. It depends on if it's a small studio, it makes sense to hire it out to somebody else. Like, say, if you're just like a couple of developers.
Pretty sure they wrote the last God of War game.
Okay.
That's not a small studio.
No, gosh, no.
No.
I'm just saying, like, my only justification would be, like, if you're a studio of 3 people, having somebody do the writing may not be a bad idea, because the one thing is, like, say if you're a George Lucas, you can write some stuff down, but the dialogue's not going to sound very good.
But you don't know how much, these writing places cost.
No, the point it's not about that, Owen. It's about what they're writing. And so the people very clearly have an ideological bent that I'm going to go out on a limb and say doesn't line up with most of the gaming audience. But they're the ones doing the writing. And so what's going to happen is studios are going to see this. More studios are going to go, oh, we can cut costs by doing this. They're going to get to the point where they don't have any writers. So their only choice is to hire a group like this. That's what groups like this, that's their goal. Okay? This is the whole concept as far as business and how money moves. I got a book all about it. It's creating an artificial bottleneck and then controlling it. It's a bottleneck that doesn't have to exist, but it does because you made one, and then you control it, which gives you all the power.
That's scary.
Oh, what do you think DoorDash is? Like, before DoorDash, restaurants, they either delivered or they didn't. Then DoorDash comes along, and eventually, like, oh, you don't do DoorDash. Well, sorry, I'm just going to call someone that does. So you basically have to do DoorDash if you're a restaurant in a bigger city. Well, there goes a percentage of your sale to DoorDash that you weren't giving up before. But you have to use it if you want to have sales.
Because even regular delivery.
Well, I mean, if you've got regular delivery, maybe you can get by. But, like, what if, like, we want something from you and something from over here? They're not going to pay 2 delivery fees. They're just like, well, sorry, we're just going to call someone else for the other half. So they've created an artificial bottleneck. All the users are like, oh, it's an awesome service. It's great. All the restaurants are like, really wish I had a time machine right about now. And I'm not going back to stop World War II. I'm going back to kill the DoorDash guy. Same thing with credit cards. Restaurants, you have to take credit cards, basically. Unless you're Belma's over in Shoals, they only take cash. But you basically have to do it. Well, every transaction on a credit card, you're paying a fee to the credit card company. Mm-hmm. You're losing money. But you have to have it, or you're not going to have your customers. You're going to lose even more money. But you didn't want any of that. You'd be just fine if they paid you in cash. Your business does not need to be paid in credit card money. You can exist with the cash, but you have to get people in the door. It's a cost you don't want, you didn't ask for, but it's convenient for the customers, so you have to have it. So now you're beholden to the credit card companies. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to happen. And yeah.
That's why when you go to, like, say, the gas station, they have a minimum charge that you have to.
Yeah. So. And that's why some of them are like, we don't accept. It's usually Discover for some reason. I'm going to assume Discover has a higher fee for theirs or something.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's what'll happen with groups like this. They put themselves in the middle of everything where they didn't exist before. A couple of people start adapting, and then it's like, oh, that's convenient for us. Let's do that. And then all of a sudden they control it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's you don't want that. That's the same thing with the advertisers. You're right back to, because the advertisers do the same thing. Because a lot of ventures have to have advertising to succeed, then the advertiser comes along and is like, well, I back you, but, you've got to stop doing this or start doing this. You don't have a choice. You want your business to succeed. So, anyway. You guys got anything else in gaming?
Oh, yes. 2 games that I picked up while I was out thrifting. So, the first one was for Super Nintendo. This one I paid $13.99, which is about right where it should be, and that is Dragon, the Bruce Lee story for Super Nintendo. I don't know, I didn't know they made one, and I was just like, eh. And then I should have looked. It's made by Acclaim, so maybe regretting that decision. I don't know. Now this one, I don't see too many Atari 5200 games out there. I'm going to hold this one upside down so you can actually see it, for those that can see on camera. But this is Wizard of War. Not W-O-R, not W-A-R. They had like 3 or 4 Atari 5200 games, and I have most of the ones that they have, but I do not have any that are in a different form factor like this one.
CBS Electronics?
Yes, made by CBS Electronics for the Atari 5200, which was kind of a flop because of their controllers. Well, state of the art, they just weren't quite there ready for mass production because they faulted a lot. Like, the controllers had a lot of issues. But one of the first game consoles that have a pause button. So I've not tested them out yet because I don't really break my 5200 out very often. Because I do have. Well, I was looking through my storage unit or storage garage now, looking through my totes, and I realized I have like either 2 or 3 wood grain Atari 2600s. I have my Sears Telegames, which is also a 2600. Then I have my Atari 5200 and a 7800. And yeah, the 7800 went back to the Atari 2600 size cartridges, but was an 8-bit console like the NES. Just not really. It was just a little too late when it came out. So
which one is the ET game on?
2600.
Oh.
So, and I do have ET as well.
Oh, you survived the landfill, huh?
Yeah, mine did not get dumped into the landfill. I mean, That's a story that always gets me is the fact that instead of like, we already have all these cartridges, we could just, you know, sell the inventory to somebody. They're like, we're so ashamed of this. We're just going to bury them.
Bury them out in the desert somewhere.
But then they dug them up and they sold them to people and people paid money for the boxes and the cartridges.
So what you're saying is it proved Belloc's theory from Raiders of the Lost Ark true. When Indy walks into the bar there in Cairo, and he's like, "You see this watch? $10 from a street vendor. I bury it in the sand, and in 1,000 years, it's priceless." Basically, that only not 1,000 years.
Yeah, it was not 1,000 years.
1,000 years in like Tron time.
It was what 30.
Tron.
I've seen Tron.
Okay,
it's about 30 years.
One of the few movies I have seen.
See the second one?
No.
You need to watch the second one. Oh, it's pretty good.
All right, so what are we on to now?
Streaming, if we're done with video games.
Streaming video games?
No, streaming.
No, like Netflix and shows that are on streaming, basically. Although occasionally news about the streaming services, but usually shows on streaming. Well, let me tell you what I watched recently. Well, I'm in the middle of watching. Started watching Lucifer on Netflix. I'm in season 3 now. So, yeah, been interesting so far. And this is based on the DC characters, even though I do mean the devil when I say Lucifer. But in DC's Vertigo comics, they're all characters. Apparently, I don't know if it's a crossover with this series or if it was in like the Arrowverse. But there is an episode that this guy is in as Constantine shows up and needs something from him or something. So that'd be the actual Constantine, the British guy, not Keanu Reeves' Constantine. But yeah, so that's pretty good. The main character, obviously, is Lucifer, and just the brazen, like, just announces himself like that to everybody. He's like, I assume he just knows that no one believes him. And like a handful of people are like, Lucifer, huh? Because it's Lucifer Morningstar. It's like, can't really get more on the nose than that, and then just saying literally like, the devil. And basically the plot is he got tired of ruling hell and, dealing with the absolute worst dregs of humanity. I was just like, I'm leaving. I'm going to LA. So he does.
They went from hell to hell?
Yeah, kind of. And so he owns a nightclub and took one of the demons with him to be the bartender. And so you get a bunch of stuff with that. His brother, one of the other angels, is a constant character on the show, trying to get him to go back to hell, because if he doesn't go take it over, his brother's going to have to. And well, no one wants the job, because, it's hell. So, because Lucifer didn't want the job, it's the whole, like, rebellion thing. Got cast down. And, yeah, like, he just really hates the fact that everyone just utterly despises him on the conceptual level. And he just keeps going. He keeps trying to tell everyone, is like, why am I blamed for all of your guys' problems? Like, I don't cause a damn one of them. Like, you people do all of this to yourselves. Like, I don't convince anyone to do anything. He doesn't in this version of events, And so he's really pissed off at God, obviously, because, in this conception, the angels are God's literal children. He didn't create them like by waving his hand, he created them the other way. And apparently old mom's got on dad's bad side at some point and cast her down into hell too. So she was down there for a while, and Lucifer's just kind of like, well, I just did the same thing she did for me. You threw me out, she stood there and didn't do anything, so I didn't do a damn thing for her. I just let her get tortured by the demons for, several tens of thousands of years, billions of years, however long. So yeah, although he fixed that problem for her, he cut a hole in time and space and threw her into another universe entirely, and was like, here you go, like, Dad's not there, so, go knock yourself out. But, yeah. So I know eventually that God does show up. They couldn't get Morgan Freeman, I'm assuming, although there was actually a joke about that in the show. Because he's seeing a therapist, and like halfway through season 6, she's like, look, I can't deal with these metaphors anymore. He's like, they're not metaphors. I keep trying to tell you that. She's like, well, prove it to me. He's like, okay. and shows her what he really looks like. And she just is like hard reboot mode. It's like, he's like, well, I guess I'm going to leave. She's just sitting there just staring and staring and staring. And he's just like, because looking upon the divine, mortals didn't really work out for him most of the time. So he's mentioning about God at one point. He's like, oh, yeah, it's exactly like you think. It's Morgan Freeman. And he's like, it's not. Instead, it's the guy from the Allstate commercials. The older one who was the president on 24 for a while. I don't know the actor's name. He's a bigger black guy.
Yeah.
And, deep, gravelly voice and everything. So, not Morgan Freeman. They got, knockoff Morgan Freeman instead. So, it's kind of funny. But, yeah, so he's working with this cop on the LAPD and, solving various crimes. Although usually, conveniently, they all have something to do with something he's involved in or some, character flaw or whatever. So, he helps her. He's having to come to terms with the fact that he actually likes her. Because up to this point, has some serious abandonment issues and everything. So, yeah. And the show's got 3 more seasons. That's where I'm at the moment. Tom Welling just showed up as a new police captain. Although thanks to little clips on YouTube, I know he's not really that. So, apparently he's Cain. I'm assuming of Abel and Cain. But we'll see. But no, the show is entertaining. Just the utter obliviousness he has to things is very amusing. It's, if you can separate it from actual religious belief, it's very entertaining. I was saying, otherwise it's very blasphemous, very hardcore.
Yeah, it's like you gotta switch that part of your brain off.
Yeah, because there's that, and there's the fact there's lots of sex in it.
Oh.
But it was on the CW, so, you don't see anything. But,
Wait, how is the CW doing?
I don't know. I don't know how the CW still survives, but somehow they do.
Where are they getting the money from?
Well, yeah,
Warner Bros, I guess.
Yeah, half their shows have ended. All their DC shows pretty much have started coming to an end.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, is the Vampire Diaries still going? That was kind of big, right?
What?
It has spin-offs.
Yeah.
I saw previews for them. I know they exist. I don't think it's like Pitch Black, where I know I saw a trailer for that a year and a half before it came out. And then it never came out. And 9 months later, I saw more trailers for me and Chris. We would sit there and think, didn't we see these trailers a year ago? Is this movie ever actually going to come out? And then it did. It was pretty awesome. But,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Batgirl movie is never coming out.
Which one's that? Oh, the Batgirl? Yeah. They said Macro. I didn't hear what you said there clearly, Owen.
Batgirl.
Yeah, no, I it took the second,
Yeah, and the thing is, supposedly it's all done. It's just...
See, there you go. The money is just sunk cost. Unless they're this will do better if we just write this off as a loss on our taxes instead.
And from what I saw, some of the behind-the-scenes stuff didn't look terrible. But... anyways, I say I have not streamed anything. I haven't had time to. I barely get to time to even watch any TV at all. So,
well, the only other thing I watched was the Squid Games reality show, which I guess I didn't read the blurb right at the beginning. I thought it was I knew it wasn't season 2, but I thought it was something. And then I see this international cast. I'm like, okay, maybe this is an American spinoff. And then people start getting hit by paintballs. And I'm like, okay, maybe we're like the other shoe's going to drop. They're just shooting them someplace else. And then I'm like, wait, this is just a reality show. So, once I figured that out, my expectations lowered tremendously. But I stuck it out to the first half anyway. It's mildly entertaining. But, I just kind of want to see how it ends. I don't know. It's not great by any stretch. Human Battleship was pretty funny, though. They've got, the big board, and they all have to get in the boats as the pegs. And you only get eliminated if the whole ship gets taken out. And that's definitely how this one cocky asshole got taken out. Is everyone hated him. And again, any given chance, people kept talking about, they have these little challenges where you can pick someone to be eliminated.
yeah.
And they'd consider him, but then they wouldn't do it. Then he ends up being in a 2-man boat and battleship, and he got sunk. He probably would have won the show otherwise. Oh well. So yeah, that's wishy-washy. I want season 2 of the real one where they're shooting people. Like, that probably says something about my psyche, but I don't care.
Well, there's something about it. The drama of it kind of goes away when you're just like, oh, you're going to shot with a paintball.
Yeah, well, I like the commitment they have, though. Like, they all fall over.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't even know if I could do that. Like,
well, they probably get paid something. Like, you got to make this look pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if you got something for it. Okay.
I don't know if they actually got anything for him being on the show.
They probably did.
They probably do because it is a show. I think they'll probably get something, even if it's like, here's like $1,000 or something. But I did like how they like kind of stuck to the real commitment at the beginning. They're like picking them up in vans randomly, like in the cities and everything. And I'm like, all right, okay. And they weren't getting shot for real. And I was like, I don't know about this.
Well, yeah.
So I'm kind of curious how one of the challenges is going to go, though, because like it's absurdly lethal in the actual show.
Which challenge are you referring to?
The bridge with the glass plates.
Yeah.
And like they showed that at the beginning, so I'm assuming they actually do it in the second half of the show, which I should have watched because it's up now. Because it came up like a week later.
Which I mean, obviously, there could be like mats underneath, but how is the glass going to shatter?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's got to be like it's on ground level, or like it's a very short fall, and like you hit the panel and it lights up or something. It's like, you're out. A whammy sound from Press Your Luck or something.
Yeah.
The actual whammy comes out and gets you, like on Press Your Luck. There was a good game show.
Well,
yeah. Very entertaining. It probably wasn't good, but
allegedly, some people who were on the show have brought up a lawsuit because apparently they experienced nerve damage and hypothermia.
From which challenge?
I don't know.
Just saw an article on that.
Because I've only seen the first half, and they're never outside. They're never in the cold. Maybe something interesting is in the second half. I'll have to watch it now. Yeah, that's all I've got on streaming. So.
All right. Anything else? Any other random topics?
Oh, I didn't know if we wanted to talk about just some of the changes we've seen over the years to Black Friday, since it's kind of topical for the fact we just had Thanksgiving.
Well, the biggest change is that I haven't done the Black Friday shopping. Like, I don't go out anymore to it because almost and I think they've realized that they don't even have to put the stuff out. They can just say, put it online and then ship it wherever it needs to be shipped.
Right. And that's a big one, is that most of it's online now. Also, maybe I'm missing them, because it always seems like I find the good deals after they're expired on Black Friday, but the deals don't seem to be as good.
Well,
for the most part. I have found a handful of things that were spectacular.
Well, that and, like, say, that's random, but I went and bought some batteries at Home Depot. They had Black Friday deals, and I bought them yesterday. And this is a week after Thanksgiving. So.
I don't know. I don't remember which site is sending them to me, but I'm still getting things about Cyber Monday, and today is Friday. Like, that was 4 days ago.
Well, I think because they're starting the deals earlier, and they're not. And hell, I even seen a thing where they were at Target. These people are at Target, and it's like Black Friday deals, and they were like sliding the signs out, and underneath was the regular price, and it was the same price as what the Black Friday price was.
See, now I've seen people always say that happens. Like, I don't go Black Friday shopping because all they do is they just increase the price 200% before, then they knock it down 150%, so it's not really that much off. I'm just like, show me some proof of that, because I don't see that when I go Black Friday shopping. Like, I see things that are actually discounted, because I knew what the price was before, and so I think those people they just don't want to engage in Black Friday, which is perfectly fine, but like, don't make up BS about it. But,
I don't know. Last time I went Black Friday shopping, was it 2 years ago? I don't remember. Like, I went to Walmart, and one of the big things there is the video games. The selection was very hit or miss. Don't know if that's just the games they have marked down, or if just talking about video games in general.
Well, speaking of that, when I went into Walmart earlier in the week, the video game display that they had. See, the last couple of years I went into Black Friday. Those things would be stripped clean, every one of them. And
because I've gone with you before. We've gone to the Jasper Walmart, and they had like a row of things for DVDs and movies. I don't think they had movies on sale this year.
No. And like I said, I went, and this was days after the Black Friday sale, and both sides of the gaming thing still had games in there.
I know what
and I think some of that may have been because people haven't been able to get the PS5 yet or the Xbox Series X. Like they're not like me, still holding out till they drop down in price, and then I'll see about getting a PS5. But it's just I don't think they had a very good. I just don't think people are going into the stores to buy them anymore. They're just ordering them online because as soon as they go on sale in the store, they go on sale online, and usually you can even get a better deal online.
Well, as a Walmart Plus member, they actually go on sale earlier. If you're a Walmart Plus member, and they don't run out. You know, that's the other thing is like it used to be that you had to get there, you know, because they had like 5 of them, and that's what encouraged like the fist fight mentality. But now, if you can order them online, you know they've got more than 5. But no, I definitely missed out on some good deals on Walmart.com with the Lego sets though, because I saw the picture of what was on sale. But I saw it like hours after it started, and I definitely missed them. There's the Winnie the Pooh sets, normally like $150, was $50. Like, that's a sale.
Yeah.
You know, the admittedly crappy current TIE Fighter that's $45 was $25. I almost bought one just so I could build it here on the channel and then compare it to the better one that I have. Yeah, and that petty occasionally. But, although it does have a minifigure I kind of want. But, so yeah, there were deals, but these were like last Monday. These were this Monday. These were Cyber Monday deals. These were not Black Friday deals. And Walmart's actually had 2 waves of Black Friday deals. The other one was like November 10th. But no, the real thing I found though, bought from Miniature Market. There's 2 pandemic games that were normally $20 that I got for $2 each. So. There's another one currently sitting there for $7. It's like $35. I'm thinking about buying it. So I can have like 70 some odd dollars worth of games for $11. I mean, that's a savings. But like Miniature Market does that. You know, that's how they get rid of stuff. They're like, okay, put it at 90% off, get it out the door. You know, that's a sale. But anyway, we might talk more about Miniature Market later for other reasons in other videos.
This is Footy. Say hi. Introduce yourself.
Well, he did say hi just a minute ago.
Yeah.
Let's see if they get picked up on the mic there. But
For those of you who aren't watching, Footy's the cat. One of 2.
not the one that was chewing on the cables earlier. So
No, although I believe Footy has contributed to that problem in the past.
oh yes. I like to flop into the camera stand and do all that. It'd be nice if I had my own dedicated spot where I could be cat free, but you know, it makes the videos a little bit more interesting. So.
Yeah, the funny thing is when I see companies in other countries having Black Friday sales, and it's like, what are you doing? You know, that's like having like a 4th of July sale in like France. You know, there's no reason to do that.
Or in England.
Yeah, yeah, they might on a colonial treasonous day.
I think we've moved past that by now. Well, I mean, there was the War of 1812.
Yeah, there was. I think that's where we buried the hatchet, though. So
I'm sure the hatchet was buried a few times.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They don't celebrate, but they still like acknowledge November 5th. And that was when there was the gunpowder treason and plot where they were going to blow up Parliament. So that's why people wear the Guy Fawkes mask. If none of you have ever seen V for Vendetta, you should watch it. It's different from the book, but it's still a really good movie. Then you should read the book, or do the other, you know. The solution in the book involved a guy taking hallucinogenic drugs and somehow coming to a solution, which he really didn't put into place. It's the cop who has like what do you think's going to happen? And he like lays it all out. Like, how do you know that? It's just a feeling. Well, in the book, he takes acid or something, and that's how he comes up with all that. And then proceeds I think he's actually the one that shoots V in the book. So, and then what's her name takes over, Evie. She dresses up as V.
So she's EVV?
Yes, to go rally the crowd once she sends him off. Because The line's a little bit different in the movie. She mentions that his last request was to give him a Viking funeral. That's why she puts him on the train. Well, if you've not seen the movie, it's a train full of explosives that she used to take out the House of Parliament. So he got the fiery end that he wanted. In the movie, there's no romance between them. Like, no, not even.
Oh, yeah, but in the movie, you got to have a love story.
Misplaced love story. In the book, she thinks it's her dad. Yeah, Alan Moore's weird, but this was too early in his career for that kind of stuff. His later books probably, like The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But yeah, no, there's that. Chancellor Sutler ends up getting killed by someone else entirely. You know how they defused the bomb in the tower, the broadcast tower? Yeah, they don't defuse it. It goes off, and the guy that gets killed there, it's his wife. She gets booted out of the party and treated like street trash. And then the Chancellor like recognizes her, like, "Hey, bring her over." And just that's the end of the Chancellor. So yeah. And there's also the subplot of the supercomputer that controls the whole country. That's not at all in the movie. You should totally read the book. It's really cool. Same thing with Watchmen, even though I really love the movie. We'll talk about that someday. Today's probably not the day.
Yep.
I believe we got to wrap this up.
Yes, we do got to wrap this up.
So I probably kept Jim from something important here. So.
And my children, you know. Well, at least with the other one that's not sitting here with me.
I wasn't being facetious. I knew you're something important. Like, I realized I was rambling.
No. I was gonna say we also got some other videos we want to try to record out here, so I'm gonna let you utilize the studio for that.
Alrighty. Well, Owen, you got any closing thoughts? If you can briefly, either something you want to say, or maybe tell us what you think of the podcasting experience thus far.
The podcasting experience has certainly been interesting, a lot more freeform.
Yes.
Scripts.
Been able to, well, I feel like I've been able to talk more.
Well, yeah, we don't talk about anything here. This is like the Seinfeld show of podcasting. We don't talk about anything. We just
we just ramble on in circles. Hoping
well, like we
to eventually
for most of the episodes we get the bare bones of an agenda. Although 2 episodes ago we had like nothing and somehow talked for 3 hours.
Sounds like our average conversation.
Yeah, that's why we started doing the podcast, because we're like, we just talk about this stuff all the time, and why don't we just put it out for other people to listen in and see what they think about it. So on that note, if you are listening to us on any sort of device that allows you to comment, we definitely want to hear the comments down below. I know we did have some sensitive topics, and we want to definitely hear your thoughts on those.
We'll see what survives editing on those. Well, I don't know. Might have gotten a little overboard in a few of them. We'll see. We'll see.
But if like I said, sometimes it's hard to get into certain topics without getting into the sensitive nature of those topics. And it's not that we're
uncompromising
about.
Yeah, we're not uncompromising, and we're not trying to make light of any of the things we talk about. Like, we know that there are real people that have real situations and issues that really do affect them. And then we also know there's people that are riding their coattails, and those people we don't care for. But people that are actually affected by a lot of these things, we definitely have our sympathies. We're not trying to make light of your problems. So,
anyway, I think we can conclude this meeting of the Geek Cabal here. Maybe we almost had a full crew. Yeah. That unfortunately did not happen, but maybe next time. But yeah, definitely, if there's anything that we talked about you want to know more on, or you want to comment on anything, definitely leave those down below. If you're listening to us on YouTube, make sure if you like what you hear, that you like, share, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Checked right before we started. We were at 306, so
yep.
We're moving up slowly again. But yeah, we appreciate you listening in, and yeah, we'll see you on the next podcast. So.
All right, the meeting adjourned.
It is.
Indeed.
Yeah.